Welcome back, everyone, to the smartest year ever, our quest to become the world's greatest conversationalist. My name is Gordy, and I was just wondering, do you know what this is? Have you ever been there? What happens when you seal 8 people in a glass dome for 2 years with no backup plan? Stick with me for 5 minutes. I bet you can work this into a conversation today, and like and subscribe so you can keep up. I do this every single day. Apparently, Earth is Biosphere 1. So what happens when you try to build Biosphere 2? In the early 1990s, 8 people voluntarily sealed themselves into a massive glass dome in the Arizona desert. Their mission was to survive 2 years in a fully closed, self-sustaining environment. No help, no contact, no backup plan, just them, a few thousand plants and animals, about 3.14 acres of glass and steel. This was called Biosphere 2, $200 million at the time ecological experiment built to simulate life in a sealed habitat. It was like a sealed experiment for life on other planets, except everything unfortunately started breaking down, including the people that went in there. And again, they called it Biosphere 2 because it was going to be the second self-sufficient biosphere after Earth itself. Clever, huh? The structure was pretty awesome looking, if I do say so myself. It was, just really cool. It's an airtight greenhouse the size of 3 football fields. That's how we measure things in America. And I did learn that a football field is about 1.32 acres. That's kind of a nice visualization for roughly an acre. And the Biosphere 2 contained 5 biomes: a rainforest, an ocean with a coral reef, a desert, a savanna, and a human habitat with agricultural space. It was funded by billionaire Ed Bass and designed by a group of engineers, ecologists, and idealists led by John Allen, a systems theorist with a flair for the theatrical. The first mission began in 1991. 4 men and 4 women, called Biospherians, entered the dome to test whether humans could live sustainably inside a closed ecological system with zero resupply from the outside world. And they were expected to grow 100% of their own food, which included crops like sweet potatoes, bananas, peanuts, beets, rice, and wheat. And for protein, they raised chickens, goats, tilapia, all within this closed system. The plan was pretty bold, but the reality was pretty brutal. Oxygen levels began to plummet. The normal atmosphere we breathe is about 21% O2, but theirs dropped to 14.2%. So by month 16, the atmosphere inside the dome was the equivalent to standing at like 13,000 to 15,000 feet of altitude. That's pretty high up. And CO2 levels fluctuated wildly because microbes in the soil broke down organic material faster than they expected, releasing massive amounts of carbon dioxide that the plants just couldn't absorb quickly enough. So to keep the Biospherians from passing out, oxygen actually was pumped in from the outside quietly at first, right? Because it would ruin their experiment. But then once word got out, the illusion of this total isolation unraveled. Not a great look for what you were trying to do, but it's an experiment, so it's learning. So is there a failure in experiments? I'm sure there's some good learning from that moment. Food was also a constant struggle. Crops didn't always thrive. The Biospherians faced near starvation diets and suffered significant weight loss. Some described it as nutritional purgatory, like this never-ending loop of sweet potatoes, bananas, and just fatigue, basically. And as conditions worsened, so did the team's morale. And with just those 8 people sealed inside for 2 years, it's safe to say that interpersonal dynamics got pretty complicated. The Biospherians, once tightly aligned, actually some of them were even in relationships with each other before, just feels like a weird setup. But after 2 years, they actually split into factions, and arguments kept escalating. Eventually, the team stopped speaking to each other for long stretches. Certain people on the team wouldn't even talk to each other. So while many species, including the people, struggled, others actually thrived, but in kind of horrifying ways. The cockroach populations exploded. Crazy ants, an invasive species, wiped out beneficial insects The coral reef bleached, pollinators died, banana plants went rogue and took over the rainforest. In the media, the project was mocked as a failure. Like it was just this part science, part stunt. Critics called it science fiction theater. And even some scientists on the outside dismissed it as pseudoscience dressed up as ecology. And they ended up staying 730 days inside the biosphere. And despite the chaos of those 2 years, Biosphere 2 really wasn't an entire loss or a failure. I mean, there's a lot of learning that can happen through failure in science and experimentation. It produced valuable data on atmospheric chemistry, food systems, and the fragility of closed ecosystems. The oxygen crisis, for example, taught researchers more about soil respiration and carbon sequestration than many traditional lab experiments had before. And the sheer difficulty of creating a self-sustaining world underscored how delicately balanced Biosphere 1, Earth, actually is. Today, Biosphere 2 is owned by the University of Arizona and operates as a serious research facility for climate science, including work on desertification, ocean acidification, and even space habitat modeling. And it looks really cool. I'd actually love to check it out if I'm ever in Oracle, Arizona. So there you have it. Biosphere 2 may not have saved the planet or launched us to Mars, but it did show us something equally as important, I'd say. How staggeringly hard it is to build a world from scratch and how easy it is to screw one up. And for those who have seen the Pauly Shore movie Biodome and have been thinking about it this whole time, yeah, that movie was directly inspired by the Biosphere 2. And it made me want to watch that movie. And I remember starting it recently, though, and being like, this is maybe the worst thing I've ever watched. I can't believe I used to like this so much. So I can't say I recommend it, but it will give you the feel of maybe what it was like to a ridiculous degree inside the Biosphere 2. Go check out my sources, which can be found in the YouTube description. Give me a comment, rate, like, subscribe. Have you seen Biodome? Would you want to do one of these experiments? Could you live in one of these places? I just really like the idea of these self-contained little worlds. Even if it's like little jarariums, like little closed jars that have plants and stuff, and they live on their own without any input for years. I find that stuff really fascinating, so I love this kind of thing. Go check out the 1 minute version or the less than one minute version. We'll see everywhere on social media at Smartest Year Ever. And in the meantime, stay curious and stay clever on our quest to become the world's greatest conversationalist. I will see you tomorrow in the Smartest Year Ever.